We keep asking the same thing. He's got the credit card. He's got the career, the credit score, excuse me. He's got the career, but can he conceive? And we keep asking this because, well, girl, we have been playing with our biology. And sis, it's time to stop playing because maybe he's infertile. Maybe he's the one. You see, 1 in 6, according to the World Health Organization, 1 in 6 people actually experience infertility. And here's the deal, 1/3 of those cases are caused by female infertility. And 1/3 are caused by male infertility. The other third is caused by unknown factors. So our topic tonight is, girl, stop playing. Maybe he's infertile. And who is our guest tonight? None other than the acclaimed host of Girl Stop Playing and the creator of Grown Woman TV. So the Girl Stop Playing podcast, you already know it. Now I'm bringing the host, Koereyelle, on to have this lively discussion. But first, let me welcome you officially to Detox Living, where we bring you tips, truths, and testimonials to power your toxic-free living. I'm your host, Coach Gessie, fibroid survivor turned health activist and founder of thedetoxnow.com, a holistic health provider of education and supplements to help you combat the nutrition and health disparities that lead to obesity, chronic disease, reproductive health issues, and lower life expectancy rates. So join me in welcoming, I'm so excited, Koereyelle. Let's see if she's on.
Happy Thursday, y'all. We are here.
I think we got
it. I think we got it. It is definitely feeling like Friday,
Yay!
But we got it.
Yeah, we got it. So welcome. I'm very excited about our chat.
I am as well.
I feel so blessed that I get to do this. You know, it's an amazing thing where you connect to your why in a way that it just feels like it's not work. It just feels like, wow, just flowing, right?
It's
and
a
then
blessing.
you connect with others who are just flowing. So it's a blessing. So let's get into it, as the young people in them like to say, because I'm not young.
Oh, yes, you are, for sure. Young in spirit.
Yes. And in
matters.
healthy body too. Hey,
that's where it counts.
Hey. So I love to open up and start with a conversation with just kind of like a locator of how you came to become Koereyelle, you know, the founder of the acclaimed Girl Stop Playing podcast and creator of Grown Woman TV. Like, what was that? What brought you to that, and why do you do what you do?
Yeah, so, well, thank you for this opportunity. I'm super excited to get into this conversation. I have been looking forward to this live, and so I'm so excited that we got some people popping on.
Yay.
For those of y'all who are here with me for the first time, I am Koereyelle. I started out actually as an educator, so 2nd and 3rd grade teacher.
Wow.
Here in Atlanta, and a personal, I would say, like a pivotal moment where I was engaged to be married, called off the engagement, basically was like running from this reality, and ran into entrepreneurship. And so I stopped teaching in 2011, started my business prior to not teaching. And then I've just kind of been exploring the empowerment space since about 2012. And so I've done everything from written books to host empowerment conferences. I've done online courses. I've built online communities. And in the midst of that, I started the Girl Stop Playing podcast, which also afforded me the opportunity to create Grown Woman TV as the first podcast platform and podcast network specifically centered around the education and celebration of Black women. So all of our podcasts, all of our content are created for Black women by Black women. So I'm excited to be here.
That's exciting. Oh my God. like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be part of this conversation. I love it when um, we run into purpose thinking that we're running from something, right? And not realizing that, things got uncomfortable where we were because we needed to leave, because
Right.
it was part of the manifestation journey, right? And that, not only did we create something that's for you, it's like, um, for those of you who don't know who I am, I am a fibroid survivor who battled fibroids for 14 years, right? And infertility caused by those fibroids. And when my journey, I call it my $1 million baby journey, and I say million, it's not one, it's got to be multiple. It included 5 IVF cycles. In vitro fertilization is quite expensive, and we are working to save IVF. Today they voted in Congress and we lost. They did not pass the Protect IVF bill today, and we have to
Wow.
fight that. Yeah, that's
So,
terrible.
can
But
you, for people who are unfamiliar though, because I know you have been talking about this heavily on your platform, but for my people who are tuned in, like, what was this bill all about, and why would they want to block IVF?
well, when you look at that's going to be such a political conversation to get into it, but I'll tell you that there's a lot of conservative views where they just want to control. It's the same reason why they want to the Roe versus Wade conversation, right? It's the same reasons. It is just to control how and what baby making looks like, and that means and when you look at the whole conversation around embryos, in Alabama they declared that an embryo was a baby, and that you couldn't freezing an embryo was like it became it was like a what do you call it, illegal, like it became a
Like
legal issue,
a
right?
crime?
Yeah, like a crime, exactly. And so that now really could set a precedent to now put IVF in danger overall, and I know for many people like me, I would not have my amazing miracle baby if IVF was not present. I had a gift in IVF also because I was saying that I had 5 IVF cycles to have my baby. I had a miscarriage. I had my heart stop on the delivery table, and everything started for me. It started with fibroids. And I didn't know they were the things that were causing infertility in my life. And so my life, actually, after Essence did a profile of my story, it went viral. It was called My Fertility Journey. And it went viral not because, people knew who Gessie was. It was because there were women literally all around the world saying, oh my God, somebody's talking about what I'm going through, you know?
Yeah.
And they were like, holy cow, I've had 2 fibroid surgeries. I'm in IVF cycle 2. I'm trying to have a baby. And, oh my God, thank you for sharing your story. Your story has given me hope. Not knowing, I thought this was my personal hell, not knowing that upwards of up to 90% of Black women, 70% of women at large battle fibroids, right, which are benign tumors that affect the uterus, that occur in and around the uterus, and can cause everything from infertility to crazy periods. I mean, severely heavy, painful, pain during intercourse, so much heavy bleeding that you can develop anemia that is life threatening, that can even cause heart failure.
The
To help,
number
it's
the number
crazy.
of women that have come on my podcast and mentioned fibroids, like unsolicited, just the fact it just came up naturally as part of the conversation.
It's crazy.
It's outrageous being as advanced as we are supposed to be. It's like, again, that will probably be political, but I have my own thoughts on the intentionality behind keeping us ignorant, especially when it comes to our health, especially when we talk about the health of Black women
Absolutely.
specifically. Based on your own experience and just your research and your journey, for someone watching this, who either may be struggling with fibroids or are just being introduced to this conversation, what are like the root
Oh,
causes?
that's not a
Um,
political conversation at all. We have a whole book on it called End Fibroids Manual and Guide. And it's well researched. It's not like opinions. It
mhm.
is backed by research around, and I'll tell you the top three root causes are stress. And Black women are disproportionately affected by stress just because A, we're Black, and 2, we're women, right? So understand that causes all kinds of the body goes through the trauma of racism, causes us to always be in an inflammatory state because we're in high cortisol state, right? We're always dealing in this fight or flight mode. We're fighting, literally, we're in fight or flight all the time, right? So that causes, because of our stress levels being so high, and it could be everything from I'm working hard because I had to work 10 times harder than the sister next to me, right? Or I'm literally trying to protect those who I love who are in danger. Or I'm dealing with microaggressions, right? Or I'm dealing with the health inequities and the lack of, or my pain is being dismissed when it comes to health issues, or I'm being told that, oh, that's fibroids, that's nothing, you know, or just, it's all Black women get them. And then it's being minimalized so that when it's minimized, excuse me, what ends up happening is my issue becomes a critical emergency because it was never dealt with the right level of priority when I could have been intervening with lifestyle changes, right? So stress, number one, to answer your question. Number two, estrogen dominance, right? Hormonal imbalance where estrogen is too high and progesterone is too low in your body, which is triggered by everything from toxic lifestyles, right? Stress also triggers it. Diet, very much. Hormone disruptors in our products. I know you talk a lot about that, right? And I'm so glad you do. Like, I don't shop without the Yuka app, all right? I don't shop anywhere without, I was like, okay, hold on, let's find out what, because there are so many. There's a study that shows that 76%, the environmental work group did a study that shows 76% of the products that are marketed to Black women, all right, are laden with harmful ingredients that are linked to cancer, reproductive damage, and hormone disruption. 76%.
Listen, I am the proudest basic baddie that you will ever meet, because when I tell you, I don't have to have a full face, I don't have to have the acrylic, I don't have to have 100 perfumes. When
I don't do perfume unless it's phthalate
when
free.
I see those get ready with me videos and they spray 6 different bottles, I'm just like,
and but there are so that's the other reason I make sure that like the makeup I use is toxic free, non-toxic, right? Why? Because I work to make sure that everything I can inculcate in my lifestyle that I switch out. That's what I work to do.
That's what it's all about. It's about finding the alternatives, because everybody's not interested in being, you know, a basic baddie like me. This has been me forever, ever, ever. Luckily, you know, in my day and in your day, we didn't, like, the girls weren't wearing the lace fronts where they're literally putting toxic glue
right
onto
in your scalp where your brain is. Brain.
Listen, it
controls your nervous system and every other function of your body.
It's like we came into this awareness about relaxers. Like, we have, as a community, not to say we have like eradicated perms, but as a community, the majority of us know at least the consequences. We at least know what we're doing.
Well, but wait.
But we replaced it with the makeup and the lashes and the ingredients. Yeah, we replaced it with everything else. And it's just like,
even hair care products. I'm sure when you scan it, you've seen that even natural hair care products are like scanning at 12 and 5 and not
the labels that say natural and organic. They're like the worst ones. Yeah, they're literally the worst ones.
It's a terrible thing. So that's how I got, and I like to say that my daughter, she says she's my co-founder, because when my story came out, it was actually what birthed me. I say when I birthed her, she birthed me into this work as a health activist, right? As a founder of this, because then I realized, oh my God, this is literally a large scale health issue affecting people. And it wasn't then, it became, you know, helping women to make the lifestyle changes to shrink, reverse, and end their fibroid suffering, as well as have miracle babies, right? But then also reverse high blood pressure, you know, do the things in prevention and lifestyle changes to take control of their health. And women, men, we always say the women are in control of the health of the house, right? The health of the community, because we're going to string our men along. So, which brings,
yes. Because I was definitely going to follow that up by saying that I think because we control the health of the household, we like control the temperature of the household, we are maintaining that thing. A lot of times the majority of the responsibility falls onto the woman
Absolutely.
in all aspects. So you kind of, expect that certain responsibilities are going to be your responsibilities when you get married and you become the wife. There's certain things that you just kind of feel like you're going to have to do. But I think it becomes unfair when it's not, when we start talking about infertility, when we
Girl,
start talking about you coming together and trying to have a baby, and the responsibility, the, all of it is put onto the woman to get pregnant
That's
and
right.
carry a healthy child. So where does the men come into this equation?
Girls. So that's where we started this conversation, is that 1 in 6, I shared the statistic at the top, 1 in 6 people experience infertility. And the face of infertility is who? Women. But 30% of the cause, 30% of the cases are due to female factor, but 30% of the cases are due to male factor. So you don't, and then the other 30 is due to unknown. So whereas we have the same actual contribution or lack thereof to the fertility planning equation, it is women who are carrying that burden, the stressors of it. And oftentimes, I said it, stop playing with your biology, sis, because oftentimes we're thinking it's us and not looking at our partners, right?
Very true.
And studies have shown that the sperm is connected to miscarriages. The sperm is connected to, again, I just told you about infertility, right? And so many issues when it comes to the baby. And that comes to lifestyle. It comes to, have they stopped drinking, reduced that? Have they changed their diet? Have they done the things to help promote healthy sperm, right? Because if they're not doing that, they're part of the problem.
And that doesn't usually naturally come up as a conversation. It's always, okay, well, I haven't gotten pregnant yet. I must not be, calculating my ovulation right. I must need to make some changes. I must need to go and see a doctor. We already know. I don't know the percentage. I don't know the stats, but we know that hands down, women are going to run to the doctor way more often than a man will. Like man he's going to have to be.
There is a stat that 60% of men, 60% of men won't go to the doctor until.
I should have known you had that stat. So if they're not even going to the doctor for like ailments and illnesses, you think that they're like running down to the doctor to say, hey, I think something's up with my sperm count. No. Can you check me out?
And the truth is, how about many times they are actually engaged in the fertility process, but they see their role as supporting her. Not, wait a minute, I need to get tested, right? So that's number one, is if you're planning to have children, and I say, listen, this goes before that. It's like, number one, girl, stop playing with your health. And that means you ain't got time for toxicity, whether it's toxic men, toxic partners, toxic foods, toxic relationships. The way I say detox living is life free of toxic thoughts, people, habits, and foods, right? And the foods is last on the list because it's the people, it's the thoughts, the people, and the habits that affect how you deal with the food, right? So let's go there. That it's a matter of, hold on a second, I need to, first of all, decide that health is my baseline, right? Healthy living is my baseline. And if I'm going to be with someone, we're going to make each other's lives better, and we're going to do this together, right? So for you, like, how surprised were you to hear those statistics that I just shared, that men account for half of the cases when it comes to fertility issues?
I definitely was not expecting it to be half. I think there may have been like 2 or 3 women I've seen on reality TV that have gone through like a fertility, they share their fertility journey on the shows. And then on the show, we would see them go down to the doctor, and we would see the male, the man talking to the doctor. But outside of that, I didn't even, me personally, because I haven't had the chance to ever try to get pregnant. Okay, y'all. My husband, I don't know what him and God got going on, but I have not, that has not been my journey. So because that has not been my journey and I have not been immersed in all of the different options and all of these conversations, it never dawned on me
Right.
that not that I thought that the male couldn't be the
Right.
issue, but I definitely didn't think that half of the time he was the problem.
Well, you know what though? You just brought up something good. Like when you look at those reality shows, we haven't seen a case where it's the men's issue.
And that's what
Every
they talk about.
single case has been she has endometriosis, she has fibroids. But how about this? Let's chew on this for a second. What about women who thought it was them, ended up having fibroid surgery, right? Because they thought it was fibroids or endometriosis. And they had the surgery only to find out that there was male factor infertility present as well, which could have meant that they didn't even have to have the surgery because they could have still gotten pregnant depending on how early they were on early in the process. Okay, depending on how early in the process they were in terms of the advancement of the condition. And here they are having major surgery, and it's for the purpose of having babies when that was not the actual, because you can get pregnant with, I got pregnant with fibroids. I had fibroids during the pregnancy with my daughter and, had her, and she's awesome. So the point is that, yes, fibroids can be a factor, but I wonder how many women had, and this is what I'm saying, if we don't have that awareness, because that can start you down. In my case, my second fibroid surgery, I had 5 surgeries for fibroids, but then I had 5 surgeries for complications from the fibroid surgeries.
Listen.
Did you hear that? For complications from the fibroid surgeries.
I want to ask you this, because I have my own opinions on just the medical system and all of the things based on your experience, because I feel like it's like you said, you start down this path. It's like the prescription. Once you get on that one, it's not to cure anything. It's to manage whatever your symptoms are, and it's probably going to create a new symptom that's going to require another prescription. So it's literally just a never-ending cycle. I think it's the same with these operations, these procedures, and not necessarily that it's intentional, but once you cut me open, you never know that you're going to be able to close me back up in the same condition. You never know that my body's going to respond the way that we expect it to. You never know what could go wrong. So knowing what you have personally experienced, because I can talk a bunch of ish about what I think and theories, but I've never been there. So based on you having these complications, what is your recommendation and advice to women who come to you and they're like, Coach Gessie, like, I got these fibroids, I'm considering getting an operation. What do you think I should do?
Well, I love that question. And every case is different, right? Because if you have, and I coach women who are across the whole spectrum, right? Knowing what I know now, my first case, I wouldn't have had surgery the first time, right? Because once you were cut the first time, it now created, in my case, a lot of scar tissue, because anytime, just so you know, once you are cut, your body has to form scar tissue in order to heal. Some women, if they have very high stressful lives, crazy diets, their bodies will create more scar tissue. So much scar tissue that it becomes an obstacle that can become a barrier, where after my second myomectomy, because the fibroids came back, that's the other thing, the recurrence rate in 5 years is like up to 60% reoccurrence that they'll come back, because they're not tackling the root cause when they're just doing a surgery, right? They're tackling, of course, some people, again, I'll get to that point, but they're removing them surgically, but the root is still present. So my case, they came back. I knew nothing about holistic anything, right? I didn't know. All I knew was doctors and surgery at this point in my life. And the second myomectomy, in 10 days, they had to reopen me again, because 10 days from major surgery, being cut from here to here, all right? Stem to, so right above your belly button down to all the way down, right? They cut you. And then I developed something called an obstruction, all right? A small bowel obstruction, where the scar tissue from the surgery wrapped around my small intestine, where I couldn't drink, I couldn't eat anything, I couldn't digest nothing. I'm throwing everything up, and I can't digest anything at this point. They had to cut me back open and cut out almost 2 feet of my small intestine, right? Every time I had fibroid surgery after that, and then more, they had to cut out more of my small intestine because of all the scar tissue that was there and knotted up, because that's how the body heals, right? So you're saying it precipitates more issues. Absolutely. Now I have a chronic issue because after all the surgeries, you are born with 20 to 20 feet of small intestine. I have less than 3 feet of small intestine that was left after those surgeries. Okay, after all the surgeries. And your body, your gut is your true immune system. So literally,
it's your second brain.
It's your second brain. Your body needs your gut. Everything is dependent on your gut, and your brain's your second brain, right? Your metabolism, your processing of food. So going back now, you asked me a very specific question. So if I'm able to adjust it with lifestyle, absolutely. Number one, best case scenario is you don't get cut. Best case scenario, because the body knows how to heal itself. That's why for us, we created our Fibroids kit, right? It's the supplements, it's the nutrition plan, it's the exercises, it's the coaching exercises. It deals with your emotions. It deals with, of course, the supplementation that you need specifically to help your body do the healing, because your body does the healing, right? And those specific protocols help you to now support your body in that process. But if you have advanced fibroid disease that is now, you're like, oh my God, I want to have a baby and it's in the way. I want to have a baby next year. Wait a minute, you're now against the clock. Or you have advanced fibroid disease where it's pressing, it's so large and it's pressing on other organs, like causing your kidneys to be inflamed, right? Because that can happen. It's called hydronephrosis. We had a woman who it was actually causing pressure on her lungs to build up fluid in her lungs, okay? We have had women that the fibroids are so advanced, they're hemorrhaging. You need intervention, emergency intervention to save your life, right? If you are a woman in that case, definitely schedule a consultation with our physician partner right at thedetoxnow.com / just go to thedetoxnow.com and click on consultations, right? And the reason why is because you want to make sure that the physician that you see, and I only recommend one physician personally because that's the only person I will go to, is our physician partner out of Chicago, Dr. P is his name. Why? Because he's very methodical in making sure that you're only being cut once, horizontal, small incision, because they all think they need to cut you vertically, which causes more complications down the road. So if you need a surgical intervention, you still need to use holistic methods to help your body prepare for the surgery and to prevent the return of fibroids after, as well as to help your body, now listen to this, prevent surgical complications down the road. Because anytime you've been cut, your body now is at risk of developing that small bowel obstruction I talked about, that scar tissue that grows abnormally because you're going through a very stressful period in your life, you know, or your diet is crazy, things are going on in your life. That scar tissue can form an obstruction 10, 15 years down the road. It doesn't have to be right after surgery. And there's no way for them to see it on a scan. So people may say, oh, your scar looks good. Your doctor may say your scar looks good. But they're only talking about the outside. They can't see the scar tissue that's massing inside. That's like tape. It's like.
So is there a way to know, or it's just like you just start developing symptoms and then they can say, okay,
no, that's why we say if you're going to have any surgery, that's literally, we created something called the prevention kit because of this reason. And it tackles 3 things that are critical to this: hormonal imbalance, vitamin D deficiency, right? And chronic inflammation. And literally, I take these things every single day. These 3 supplements, I just dropped one. MAS is for chronic inflammation. D3 is for vitamin D deficiency, which is literally the body's #1 hormone for fighting inflammation and tumor, for keeping your immune system strong, your digestive system strong, your cardiovascular system strong, okay? Like, every person needs to be supplementing with D3, especially people of color, because our melanin blocks the absorption of the sun. So helping your body by proactively taking steps to prevent, whether you're going to do it with surgery or without surgery, is absolutely the way. Like, that's why we created everything. Because I was like, I don't want women to go through what I'm like, you don't want to be here 10 years, 20 years. You don't want to be in this scenario.
What about, can fibroids be hidden in the same way that scar tissue can be? Like, can a woman have fibroids and not know it? and maybe be experiencing some of these
Well,
issues? Like, what is this? How do you advocate for yourself? I think is what I'm trying to figure out.
number one is you want to make sure that whenever you're going, you need to go for your annuals. There's no reason you need to go for your annuals. You need to get pap smears.
Do you
Pap
know
smears.
you can't really call them annuals anymore, Coach Gessie? Do you know
Why?
that because some insurance companies are only allowing you to go every 3 years?
Yes. So number one is make sure the insurance company that you are with allows you to have an annual checkup. All right. That's very important because your pap smear is what determines whether or not there are abnormal tissue cells that could be leading to cervical cancer. And that's really important. It's preventable. Like it's something you can easily help your body to prevent as well as early detect. And if it's early detection, it can be dealt with more quickly, right? And it's very effective in terms of treatment options. But when it comes to that, also saying, number one, look at the warning sign. The number one ways you can advocate for yourself is listen to your body. I call it listen to your bae, your body, your advocates, and your experts, right? Your bae. You got to be your first bae. That means that if you find you got pain, you have a heavy cycle, that's your body telling you something's wrong. Let's stop normalizing pain. Let's start by number one, saying, hold on a second. If I'm having a heavy period where I'm bleeding more than 2 to 3 tablespoons, which is most women don't even realize they have a heavy period, all right? If I'm dealing with pain, you should only have a little bit of discomfort. If I'm dealing with pain, guess what? That is my body telling me something's wrong. Maybe I need to make a nutrition change. I need to make a change in the products I'm using. I need to make a change with my sleep. I sure enough need to make a change with my stress. And once I actually, number one, I prioritize listening to my body. Now I am in tune with what's going on with myself. And I can now tell the doctor, hey, something's wrong. And if they're not, my second thing is when it comes to your experts, right? I said body advocates and experts. Your advocates are the people around you who you got a community. That's why we're your tribe. Tribe, Coach Gessie, you got Koereyelle as your tribe. You got people in your community. Make sure you have a tribe of advocates that you trust. People who've been through something that's why I share my story. I want you to know, hey, you can trust me. I've been through this. I'm trying to support you and help you know you are not alone. And hysterectomy is not your only option. I know the doctors are trying to cut you open from stem to stern. I know they're trying to tell you they got to take your uterus, but it is not your only option. Stop letting people tell you you don't have options. Okay?
Partner. Stop letting them convince you that the only option that they offer you is your only option. Because they're, hint, they only offer you what they specialize in. They only offer you what they can invoice you for, okay?
Say that again.
Say that again. You go to the surgeon, guess what they're going to offer you?
What they know how to do.
What they know how to do. And only
what they're comfortable
literally
doing.
What they are comfortable doing.
That's right.
Your life cannot be literally caught in between their comfort level. So getting a second opinion, like the history with Black women, Black people, and the medical system, I mean, it's outrageous.
I have an interview with one of our clients who, definitely check it out. It's probably it's on the YouTube page, but it's also on all podcast platforms. It's Sasha Simmons in my Detox Living podcast. And her story is amazing. She had very advanced fibroid disease since the day we met, very advanced. Like it was 20 something centimeters, right? And we're talking about, she looked 6, 7, 8 months pregnant. And everyone wanted to give her hysterectomy. She was only 33, right? No, she was in her 20s when I met her. She's 30-something now. She was in her 20s, like 25. They were like, oh no, that's the only way. I was like, no, there's got to be better options, right? She was going to do a procedure that was going to limit her fertility, right? And long story short, she did our kit to help her minimize and keep it from growing, which it did. But she knew she had very advanced fibroid disease and she needed a solution. Finally, we found the right doctor for her, which is the physician partner I talked about. In January of this year, she got fibroid free for real. And she's been living prevention. She's been doing the prevention protocol. She's been on that, no question. So she's like, Coach Gessie, they can't stop me now. Right. And it was a small horizontal bikini cut. They wanted to cut her like this, which causes more complications down the road. The longer you cut, the more you're cut, the more potential for this scarring, the abnormal scarring, the growth of the scarring to cause more obstructions in different ways. So I say that to say listen to your body, listen to your advocates. And the 3 was the E, the experts. The first E, you got to understand that there are 2 experts in the room anytime you go see a doctor. 2 experts. You are the expert on yourself, and they are the expert in their field. And if they can't listen to you, if they're diminishing or devaluing your voice, that means they're not the doctor for you.
That.
Period. Period. So
Even
when you
if
talk
that
about
means
advocating,
even if that means being annoyed, because sometimes we allow us being annoyed or in a rush or in a hurry to keep us from advocating for ourselves, because I don't have time to wait for another appointment. I don't have time to get another referral. I don't have time to call and see if my benefits. Baby, do not allow
yeah,
your really laziness to just let you, go along with what someone recommends that literally could be a
life
matter of life
saving,
or death. Yep.
literally. But again, when you're being told that these issues are nothing until it actually becomes life threatening, right? So when we go back to the men and their fertility, like we're saying, hey, you know what? We're gonna make this is a joint conversation.
This is a group
It's a
project.
group
We are in this
project.
together. We are in this together. Okay,
It's
you
a
got to
group
pull your
project.
weight.
And as much as I'm going to focus on my health, right? I don't have a tolerance for someone who's not going to focus on their health,
Yep.
right? Like that's a huge deal. In the end, obviously, I'm not telling you, break up your relationships in terms of you married and all that. I'm not your marriage counselor, but if somebody's toxic, you need some distance.
Yep.
Okay. And I mean, if they're toxic to you, they're abusive. Yes, run. Absolutely. But the point is, it needs to start with somebody didn't just become abusive overnight. These were signs that have been here. So stop playing, to me, says, listen, stop acting like, I love this quote from Maya Angelou. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time.
Yep. So let me ask you this. For the women who are watching this who do not yet have children, who have a desire to become mothers, they are in a relationship, or maybe they're single and, dating. When is the right time to have this conversation? Because a woman, most of the time, if you are of childbearing age, right, which all of us are, you've at least considered, or you may have been in a situation where you could have got pregnant and you did, or you didn't, or whatever. You have some inkling about your own fertility.
Yeah.
But when do you have that conversation with a potential
partner? Yeah, well, number one, you need to have the conversation with yourself about what you really want. And let's start with, let's no longer tolerate the fact that you don't have a happy period. A happy period is what we all deserve. It means it comes, it goes like a little breeze, no issues. It's, just a couple of days, 2 to 3 days, 5 the most, but it's light bleeding, little discomfort. That is the bar. If you're having something other than that, and I keep going back to that because it's a vital sign, it's an indicator to your health in other ways, right? And then from there, when you're talking about the actual planning, number one, you need to determine, hey, do I want kids? Do I want to even have the possibility of having kids down the road? Maybe I need to freeze my eggs even before I start, because I'm not putting my holding on to other people. Like, what I mean? Like I may want, there are women these days, Koereyelle, they are trying to get that paper. They're trying to secure the bag, right? And they're pursuing careers while their fertility is 35 down. It plummets in terms of the number of eggs you have, right? And you don't make more eggs. Men make more sperm all the time. Women, we are born with all the eggs we will ever have, right? And they diminish. And I had a massive conversation last week. Please dig into that replay, because it was with a fertility specialist and she went down the numbers and everything. But the point is that as women, we need to understand, we need to stop playing with our biology. I'm giving away my best reproductive years, right? Chilling, waiting, deciding who the whim of somebody else. No, hold on. Let's first decide, if you really want, you can freeze your fertility. You can freeze your eggs, throw yourself an egg shower, meaning like they're on Evite, they have a category that my friend created called the Parenthood Journey. The Parenthood Journey allows you to throw yourself an egg shower because they are expensive, but the same way somebody will throw you a birthday party, throw yourself an egg shower, right? Where they'll donate to your fund, and there you go. Now you can actually freeze your eggs. And once you freeze your eggs, you don't have that pressure of the biological clock when it comes to the quality and the number of eggs that you can produce, right? Huge. And then if that's the case and you are in a relationship and you're ready, you got to start like, if you think this might be that's why I said the first thing you have in your control is what's going on with your eggs, right? It's in your control. What is going on with my am I pursuing career? If I'm not thinking about my fertility is I'm not going to have as many options down the road. I'm going to limit my options.
Being
right?
proactive in every sense of the word and in every area of your life is what I feel like.
Yeah. And egg freezing, my daughter, right, is I had a frozen cycle and I had a fresh cycle of egg retrievals. She was the one from the one embryo that had an embryo. The two that were implanted, the last 5th IVF cycle, was a frozen and a fresh. That frozen made through. You see what I'm saying? So I highly recommend you think about prioritizing what you really want, right? Or you really want to have the option to. And then as far as the partner is concerned, when is it too early? It's never too early. Because you need to know if his perspective or if their perspective is that this is your responsibility, you need to know right away.
That is true. So is your kit a preventative?
It's both.
Option?
It's both. So we have the prevention kit, right, which is the 3 I told you about. That's this. This is for prevention, right? So, but it's not just prevention. It's prevention of everything that's connected to vitamin D deficiency, hormonal imbalance, and chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is at the root of 50% of worldwide deaths. Okay. And when you look at vitamin D deficiency, how it's connected to so many diseases, everything from immune issues to cardiovascular issues, right? To mental health issues have been scientifically backed to vitamin D deficiency. Okay. Make sure your teenagers are taking vitamin D. Okay. Because a lot of times we're thinking they're depressed and it's really a lack of D3. How about that? Have your doctor check. In fact, I took my daughter to the pediatrician the other day for her exam. She's a working actor. She's on Broadway in The Lion King. And I had to get her work permit renewed. And I said, what's her D level? He says, everybody should be supplementing because there's no way they're vitamin D deficient. Sufficient. There's no way. Because A, they're not in the sun enough. And then the more melanin you have, the more you'd have to be in the sun, the more melanin, like an hour more a day. Who's in the sun at the midday? You don't get vitamin D creation because your body takes the UVB rays from the sun when it's above a 50 altitude where the sun is located, which is midday sun, right? Midday sun when it's like in the summer up here in New York. And then certain places, it's like in Atlanta, you have more UVB rays longer in the more months of the year. But still, who's spending an hour in the sun? If you're light skinned, maybe it's 20 minutes, but my complexion maybe 40 minutes daily, right? And then this is the other thing, when you are a person of color, you need your vitamin D levels to be high normal, not low normal. Well, guess what? When you go to the doctor, they'll say, oh, you're normal now, but your normal is a low normal, like 30, right? That 30 is not going to help your body really fight everything it needs. It's like you're taking, you're putting on a little bit of weaponry instead of like, hey, no, I'm as Black and brown people, we go through a lot and we need the highest levels of support for our bodies. You see what I'm saying? So
Absolutely.
We need to know so for me, it's between 60 and 80 for D3 levels. Like that's where my body is in a place where insomnia, is not an issue. Hair growth and insomnia are issues connected to D3 deficiency. So that prevention kit, we created it specifically to tackle everything from helping you prevent fibroids, but helping you prevent other issues like all the other things we talked about, right? And
where do you offer the kit?
Well, it's at the detoxnow.com. And they should just take the free quiz to see if it's right for them. And we have free consultations and all of that. And then the fibroids kit was created to help people who are battling the fibroids and want to help end their suffering, right? If they don't want to have surgery or they want to do it with the surgery if they want. Like for me, everybody is a personal decision, but I want you to know you have options. And the information The reason our book is laced with all the science and all the research is linked in it, so you can click on it and read the research study for yourself, so you can see, oh, wait a minute, this thing goes back to what you said earlier, Koereyelle. You said there's an agenda, right? A political agenda. So everybody's trying to tell us that they have no idea what causes fibroids to grow. That's a lie, because it's not one thing, it's a multiplicity of factors. I said it was stress, estrogen dominance, and the third thing was, I didn't say the third thing, the top third thing, because there are a couple other things. Top third thing was vitamin D deficiency, right? And it's again, but it's also connected to other inflammatory health issues. You're talking about high blood pressure. You're talking about cancer. You're talking about everything from arthritis. All these things
that we're talking about. All of these things that we're talking about, and we are constantly talking about the statistics without a solution. So that is why I love that you created this kit, and I love that it can be a proactive thing, that you don't have to wait until there is a problem to solve it.
No.
And so for everybody who's tuned in that is not following Coach Gessie, or if y'all are tuned in and you're not following me, there's a little arrow right up here with a drop down. If you hit that drop down button, make sure you hit the follow button. I am super excited to continue this conversation though. We are definitely going to have this conversation on Girl Stop Playing, because the number of people that are suffering and struggling with this though, like, there has to be a solution, and I'm so glad that you are creating that solution. So thank you for even having this opportunity for me to slightly introduce you to my people, but we're really going to get into it on the podcast.
Thank you for, even joining me for the conversation, because, one thing I realized, and it's something you alluded to earlier, where, I believe real health is the integration of traditional health and holistic health practices, right? Because you need both, right? Many people try to think that it's one extreme or the other, but the truth is you need both, right? But there is a whole agenda that says to you that you have no, literally, it's traditional health is all that's real, right? Meaning traditional allopathic practices. Well, there is a whole cycle of illness that, as you meant, it's all about treatment, and instead of root cause analysis and but you also need intervention, right? So it's not either or, it's both. And finding, where is it that I need to work on intervention, and where do I need to be proactive so that I can help myself to not be in those places. And we have so much power, because the number is crazy. It's like 95% of the illnesses that we deal with are lifestyle born. Only like 5% is genetic, where it's like, okay, you know what? That's out of my control. And that's a lot of opportunity, Koereyelle, right? That's a lot of opportunity. So if we now seize that opportunity, we say, wait a minute, I can do something. The power is back in our hands.
Listen, this is your sign. Okay, ladies, if you are watching this and you have not scheduled your annual for the year, make the call. If you are watching this and you have scheduled your annual, and you know that there's a follow-up that you need to do, you know that there's a lifestyle change that you need to make, let this be a sign. Let this be the sign that you've been waiting for, that it's okay. Okay. I know a lot of us can get stressed out by the fear of, the possibilities, but being preventative, being proactive, catching things early, that's the best that we can possibly do. That is literally our best bet. And so
what's worse than the unknown, just to tag onto what you just said, the worst than the fear of not knowing is not knowing what's really happening. That's worse.
Yep. Ignorance is not bliss when it comes to your health.
Never.
So definitely got to make sure we are staying on top of ourselves, making sure that we remember that we are the expert. I love that. And also being willing to advocate for ourselves, I think, are the main things that I, hope that y'all are taking away from this conversation, because whether it's fibroids or, something else, you have to be willing and able to advocate for yourself. So Coach Gessie, I enjoyed this, and I appreciate the invitation.
you. And I look forward to more
Yes.
conversations and more
Yes.
conversations.
Look, thank y'all for tapping in. I know Coach Gessie, you're probably going to wrap them up, but I appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit the follow button and
Yes.
subscribe to Girl Stop
And
Playing so you
subscribe.
can
I was
catch,
going to say, and
yes, so you
subscribe
can
to Girl
catch
Stop
Coach
Playing.
Gessie. Yes. All right. I will talk to y'all soon.
Thank you, sweetie.
Of course.
Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you know, again, I'm reiterating the message that you are not alone. Whatever you're going through, do not ignore your body and what it's telling you. Don't ignore it. And if you don't have a doctor who's listening to you, know that there are people who are here to support you. Our team is here to support you, equip you with the information to turn around and advocate for yourself, with protocols to help and advocate for and be proactive about your health. Please, so go to the detoxnow.com, take our free quiz, book for one of our free consultations, access the support that's available to you, because we are here for you. Take care.